We're picking up where we left off yesterday. Remember, he was thinking in his mind how much time it takes to go up to the lookout every day. Today I will not go, the boy thought, as his days weird and chipped. It takes too long. Then he sighed and laid down the days. Caution was the better part of wisdom. He picked up his shining spear with its new shaft and turned towards the trail that led to the high plateau. Yuri leaped ahead, his nose keen, pointed to the ground. This day, as Mufasa climbed the rough trail through the jungle, he was preoccupied, lost in his thoughts. His mind was not in this business at all. He was thinking about the riggings of his canoe, planning how he could strengthen it here, tighten it there. Some instinct of danger must have made him pause, warning him to beware. There it was, just a rustle in the undergrowth, scarcely louder than an insect's hum. The boy drew up, tense and listening. Yuri had dashed off on some wild goose chase of his own. The boy stood rooted, alert. He saw it then, a wild boar, lowering his head, eyes red with hate, the flash of its wicked tusk. The animal pawed the ground like a bull would. Suddenly, its grunting snort broke the silence. Mufasa knew a blind impulse to turn and run. Then he drew a deep breath and he shouted out a challenge. Purabai! I guess that's the name for wild pig. I, Mufasa, have come to kill you. Now this is the guy that's afraid of everything. He thought, I'm going to run. And then no, he turned and he yelled at the wild pig, I'm going to kill you? How do you kill a wild pig? The boar charged over the ground. It tore. Foam flew from its tusk, so it's foaming at the mouth. The boy braced himself. He met the charge with a perfectly timed thrust of the spear. The boar impaled itself shoulder deep upon the spearhead. So the boy held the spear tight, and the boar ran right into it. Mufasa was thrown off balance, so the boar running into the spear knocked him over. Sent spinning headlong, over and over he rolled. He leapt to his feet in a panic, defenseless. But the boar toppled, gave a convulsive shudder, and then laid still. Mufasa was struck dumb. Again, he was like, I can't even imagine what happened. He had killed a wild boar. For a second, he could not grasp the wonderful truth of it. Then he leaped wildly into the air, shouting, Ai, Tue, Ai! I have killed the Paua. Do you hear me, Tabe Nui? Remember, Tabe Nui is his dad. I, your son, have killed a boar. Ah, ho, hey! Boy, he's pretty excited. And this all happened in seconds. And in seconds, he saw some rustling in the undergrowth. A second later, the boar. Then he was going to run. Then it charged him. Then he put his spear down. Then the boar ran into the spear. And boom! Wild boar! Yuri came leaping out of the jungle and barked himself hoarse at the sight of the pig. A fine one you are, Mufasa joked with his dog. Where are you when I needed you? Off chasing butterflies? That's you. Was it for this I saved you from the teeth of the Mao, the shark? I have a mind not to give you a mouthful of the pig. In other words, I'm not going to feed you this delicious pig. Yuri hung his head and drooped his tail, then brightened as Mufatu laughed joyously. Foolish one. Here, drag your share. The boy, so now they're going to drag this back to camp. Now, how many of you like ham? How many of you like pork chops? How many of you like ribs? Pork ribs are delicious. How many of you like bacon? All right, so sometimes we think, ooh, a wild boar, yuck, I'm not going to eat that. This is just like you would be getting a big ham for Christmas dinner, or some bacon for your breakfast, or some pork chops for dinner. The boy made a rude sled out of bamboo and loaded the heavy animal onto it. Then he hitched a stout line onto Yuri's neck, and the dog drew his weight into the task. The two started home in triumph with their burden. Mufasa singing at the top of his lungs a lusty song of blood and battle. He was a Polynesian now, charged with the ancient fierceness of his race. Victory coursed like a fire through his veins. There was nothing he would not have dared, nothing he feared, aye, but life was good. When they reached the campsite, Mufasa built up a roaring fire and set a pile of stones to heat. While the stones were heating, the boy cleaned the pig at the water's edge, then stuffed its empty belly with succulent ti leaves and red bananas. When at last the oven stones were white and smoking, Mufasa dragged the pig back to the fire and rolled upon the hot umu. Then he covered it with a layer upon layer of plantain leaves, dozens of them, to hold the steam and to allow the pork to cook through slowly. Yuri leaped about, sniffing at the delicious odors, barking at delight. Pork. After weeks of fishing, all he's eating is fish. How good it would be to taste some pork. Besides, fish was not good for dogs. Too many bones. Kiwi, no meat eater, looked on calmly, wondering what all the disturbance was about. The bird was content with a coconut that Mufasa split open for him, that he might join in the feast. All right, so I want to explain this to you. So he doesn't have a fancy oven like we do. So what he did is he started a huge fire, and he put all these stones on it. Now the stones would hold heat in well, but unlike a fire, it would not burn the meat, okay? And so he got all these stones super hot. The fire's gone. Now the stones are super hot. So then he drags the pig and puts it on top of these super hot stones. Then to hold the heat in and kind of steam it, he gets big, huge leaves, and he starts piling up wet leaves. Now, wet leaves won't burn, but they got a lot of moisture in them, so this steam will form, and it'll be like a huge, hot oven with all these. And what did it mean about cleaning out the pig? Well, to clean out a pig, you would actually want to take all of its guts out. Its stomachs, its intestines, its lungs, its heart, all of that yuck you want to get out of there. So he would take all of that out of the inside of the pig, and then he stuffed in the pig bananas, red bananas, that you would find. Now, if you go to some stores, they have some organic bananas there, maybe. You might find some that are a little bit shorter than the yellow ones that we're used to, and he stuffed those inside. And so those would get really delicious if you've ever had warm bananas before. And so they're going to have this feast when it's done cooking. All right, well, we'll check that out tomorrow.